They called her unbreakable, the Iron Queen behind the Prince of Darkness, a woman who carried rock and roll on her shoulders, who walked through betrayal, cancer, addiction, and public disgrace, and still stood tall. But now, at 72, with Ozzy gone and the house quiet for the first time in decades, Sharon Osbourne is facing the one storm no resilience can undo. This is not just the story of a wife. This is the war diary of a woman who refused to shatter even when the world gave her every reason to. And what you're about to hear is the truth behind the myth. Sharon Rachel Arden wasn't born into peace. She was born into noise, metallic, ruthless, unforgiving noise. Her father, Don Arden, was a music mogul known as the Al Capone of pop. Inside their London home, power roared louder than affection. Deals were made, threats whispered, and love was conditional. At just 6 years old, tragedy struck. Her mother was killed in a sudden car accident. One day, there were arguments, confusion, flickers of tenderness. The next, there was only silence, and that silence never left her. There were no bedtime stories, no arms to run to. Just cold corridors, closed doors, and contracts signed in the next room. Looking back, Sharon once said, "You had to be tough before you learned how to laugh." She didn't grow up in childhood. She survived it. By 27, Sharon had inherited her father's sharp tongue and sharper instincts. She knew how to read a room, rake a deal, and smell a lie before it landed. And then she met him, John Michael Osbourne, Ozzy, freshly fired from Black Sabbath, broke, addicted, mocked. But Sharon didn't see a lost cause. She saw a wounded giant, and in his brokenness, she saw herself. Their connection was immediate, and it ignited a war. Her father raged. Her family turned. Choosing Ozzy meant losing everything: her inheritance, her legacy, her safety net. Sharon chose anyway, because real love demands sacrifice. "I wasn't just managing an artist," she later said. "I was betting my soul on one man." And she did completely. The 1980s weren't glamorous. They were brutal. Sharon had no money, no support, no backup plan. Ozzy was drowning in substances, his reputation wrecked. She handled contracts with a baby on her hip, fought promoters while hiding Ozzy's hospitalizations, wiped tears in silence while being called a cold B*TCH in public. But she kept building. Album after album, tour after tour. Blizzard of Oz, Ark at the Moon, Diary of a Madman. Every time Ozzy collapsed, she pulled him back. Every time the industry slammed a door, she kicked it down. Ozzy would later admit, "She saved my life when no one else would even look me in the eye." She wasn't just rebuilding his career. She was resurrecting a legacy. And in the process, becoming one of the most powerful women in music. In the early 2000s, Sharon stepped into the spotlight, not as Ozzy's wife, but as herself. The Osbournes reality show was supposed to be a quirky experiment. Instead, it became a global phenomenon. Suddenly, the world was inside their home, watching the fights, the chaos, the laughter, the heartbreak. Sharon became a fan favorite, witty, fierce, hilariously blunt. And soon, she was judging X Factor, America's Got Talent, and writing bestsellers. But fame given freely is never free. Arguments became content. Private pain became public headlines. And in 2021, one on-air debate on The Talk ended her career overnight. The internet turned. Contracts vanished. Sharon, at 68, said, "I thought my life was over." Strength became misunderstood as cruelty. She was mocked, attacked, dissected. And behind closed doors, she cried alone. Long before that scandal, a darker storm had come. In 2002, Sharon was diagnosed with colon cancer. Chemo followed harsh, Exhausting, soul-crushing. She lost her hair, her strength, her ability to climb stairs. But she didn't stop. She filmed. She worked. She smiled. What fans didn't see were the nights she vomited between takes. The hours. Curled on bathroom floors whispering, "I can't fall apart. Not now." And just when she thought she couldn't endure more, Ozzy was in a near-fatal TV crash. Then Jack spiraled into addiction. Then Kelly. Sharon wasn't just surviving cancer. She was holding her entire family together while her own body fell apart. Addiction was killing my family faster than cancer was killing me. She admitted, it wasn't a home. It was a battlefield. And she fought every war alone. In 2012, doctors gave her a choice. Live with the risk or remove the threat. She chose. A double mastectomy. Not for beauty, for survival. "I did it to stay alive," she said simply. The surgery was brutal. The scars permanent. But Sharon didn't hide. She stood in front of cameras and said, "These are not flaws. These are proof I survived." At the same time, she became brutally honest about her regrets: cosmetic procedures, medication-induced weight loss, and public scrutiny. "I once looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself," she confessed. But instead of retreating, she told the truth. And in doing so, gave millions permission to stop hiding. Her scars became her crown. 2016 brought the betrayal that broke her. Ozzy cheated. And when Sharon found out, she felt a blade in her chest. For the first time, she walked away. Ozzy begged for forgiveness. Sharon nearly didn't return. And then came the night that changed everything. Ozzy, overwhelmed by illness and addiction, turned violent. Police were called. Sharon's world imploded. "That night broke me," she later admitted. "But it also forced me to decide if love was stronger than fear." She didn't stay out of weakness. She stayed to rebuild what had nearly been lost. Therapy followed. Tears, silence, then truth. Ozzy confessed, "I became my own worst enemy." Sharon chose not to walk away. She chose to forgive, to heal, to fight. And that, she said, was her greatest act of strength. By 2019, Ozzy had suffered a devastating fall. Multiple surgeries followed. Metal rods, pain, immobility. Then came the diagnosis: Parkinson's. The man who once leapt across stages could now barely stand. And then the pandemic. Both Sharon and Ozzy got sick, alone, feverish, weak. "I wasn't afraid of dying," Sharon whispered. "I was afraid of leaving him alone in the dark." But they survived. Barely. And in July 2025 came one last show. Birmingham, Ozzy's home. His final performance. Sharon orchestrated it all: doctors, security, silence. It wasn't a concert. It was a farewell. A holy rite. Ozzy stepped on stage, trembling, and roared one last time. Sharon, hidden in the wings, whispered, "Just let him finish." And he did. July 22nd, 2025. Ozzy's final breath came in silence. Sharon never left his side. "You roared until the end, my love," she whispered. "Rest now." His eyes met hers. Then he was gone. The world mourned. Shirts with his face, streets with candles, chants of "O-Z-Z-Y, O-Z-Z-Y." But inside the church, Sharon stood at the front, her hand resting on the coffin. Her children sobbed. The guitar sat silent beside the casket. And Sharon, the woman who had carried him through every storm, mouthed a goodbye no one could hear. After the funeral, she sat alone in the empty hall, whispering, "I lost my other half." Today, Sharon lives in Buckinghamshire. Thin, quiet, steady. She walks the garden Ozzy once loved, whispers to the flowers, keeps family dinners going. watches old tapes, laughs through tears. She's directing his legacy biopics, releases, charities. Every penny from his final concert went to Parkinson's research, music education, and children's hospitals, even in grief. Sharon turns pain into purpose. She still records the Osbournes podcast. She still speaks at select memorials. And every time she speaks, she reminds the world. Behind every legend, there was someone holding the fire. He wanted to leave with noise, she says. Now it's my duty to keep the echo alive. Sharon Osbourne's story is not one of perfection. It's one of survival. Not because she never broke, but because she broke and still rose. Her scars are her crown, her pain, her power, and her love still burning. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Add your memory, your fire, your tribute, so that together we make sure the echo never fades.